And we upload those to the Arch YouTube page. Just a reminder that we do not admit AI assistance to these meetings. Because we're recording for you, you don't have to worry about recording, and it gives us an opportunity to redact if necessary, and keeps top of mind any confidentiality concerns. So without further ado, it has been a couple of months since we met. I believe it was May. And so some of this you already know, or may have heard, but just to make sure that we remain on the same page. The SCOTUS ruling that we had been talking about month after month, Johnson versus Grants Pass, did not go the way that we had hoped. Under the ruling, localities will be able to arrest, ticket, and fine people for sleeping outdoors on public property, even if leaders have failed to produce enough affordable housing or shelter for everyone in the community who needs it. Something of particular concern here is sleeping outdoors means literally sleeping, but it also means having a pillow or a blanket together or separate from one another. And so while this affects us locally, as it does all localities, I'm particularly concerned about areas of the country where blankets are an additional source of warmth in colder weather. Locally, our jail system is full, and we are growing an already healthy relationship with our law enforcement agencies. And so we are looking forward to ways that we can abate sleeping outdoors in ways outside of arresting, ticketing, or fining people. At the state level, prior to HB 97, it was currently illegal. It was illegal to panhandle on highways in Louisiana. HB 97 means that violating that law carries up to 6 months in jail and or a $200 fine. And that panhandling bill that was signed on June 19th adds to the highways in Louisiana the language public right-of-ways, which is vague language, but it does include roadways that are outside of highways in Louisiana. And again, that was passed on June 19th. I think that in that it's vague. If someone happens to be holding a sign on the sidewalk that says "Need help, God bless," what is the line, right? Is that a solicitation? Is that considered a solicitation? What is the definition of solicitation? And we, of course, know the effects of fines and jail on people who are experiencing homelessness and their opportunities for housing coming out of jail. And so we are somewhat disappointed by this new bill being signed, but we are looking forward to it moving through the court system, which we believe is an inevitability. Of course, I think that we've all heard about the funding for Catholic Charities of Acadiana's emergency shelter, funding that was coming from the state being line item vetoed. I know that there's going to be an opportunity for agencies to offer updates at that point, but wanted to put that on the radar because Catholic Charities Emergency Shelter is our largest shelter provider in our region for individuals. And they are a cornerstone of our continuum of care system, and it would be catastrophic to lose that shelter. But additional updates will be offered in a few minutes. And then if you're looking at HB 506, that was a interagency council on homelessness with COC representation, an additional 6 experts to be identified by legislators and other experts and those with lived experience. HB 506 was passed under the previous administration, the John Bel Edwards administration, and we look forward to that interagency council being stood up in the coming months. We had of course, COC representation from our region there. And we nominated, I believe, an additional 4, the most of any of the COCs across the state, to be considered as part of the 6 that will ultimately be part of that interagency council. And that is through the governor's office. So looking forward to having those conversations about panhandling, about state funding, and about how localities will interpret the SCOTUS decision of City of Grants Pass, Oregon versus Johnson, how that will be interpreted at the state level. Let's see. Moving along, I wanted to go over the Out of Reach report. Was recently released in the last, I would say, probably month at this point. The Out of Reach report is an annual analysis by the National Low Income Housing Coalition that highlights the gap between the cost of rental housing and wages. So what truly is the affordability of rental housing, affordable rental housing in the United States? And the National Low Income Housing Coalition is a Washington, D.C. based nonprofit that advocates for affordable and decent homes for people with the lowest incomes in the United States. And the report's central statistic is the housing wage, which estimates the hourly wage that a full-time worker needs in order to afford a modest rental home at HUD's fair market rent, FMR, without spending more than 30% of their income on housing, which would effectively make them cost burdened. So the report also provides housing wages for each state, each metropolitan area, each county or parish, and then combined non-metropolitan areas. So you can really zoom way in on your area through this report. And so I wanted to share with you overall what the Out of Reach report found this year in 2024, as we all sense, but they are able to gather data and report on this officially, is that affordable rental homes are out of reach for millions of low-wage workers and seniors and families and other renters. In Arkansas, a modest two-bedroom apartment averages around $16.27, all the way to $42.25 in California. And so in no state, though, they found, metropolitan area or parish, can a full-time minimum wage worker afford a modest 2-bedroom rental home. So if we're looking at Louisiana, which is on your screen right now, the fair market rent for a 2-bedroom modest apartment is $1,150. And so in order to not be cost burdened and to afford that level of rent and utilities, a household must earn around $3,800 a month or $46,000 annually. So if we're looking at a 40-hour work week, a normal full-time job, but at 52 weeks per year, so that's every single week, no weeks for vacation, it averages to about $22 per hour that someone would need to earn in order to meet the state housing wage. And that represents actually a $3 increase over last year. So that's a pretty significant increase in just 1 year's time. So if you take that $22 and 11 cents per hour and you turn it into a minimum wage, right? It's 122 work hours per week at minimum wage to afford a modest 2-bedroom rental home. Okay. So if you look in that bottom left-hand corner, you see that the most expensive areas, Lafayette does not appear this year, but we're right there at the heels at $19.88. And that is assuming that that a modest two-bedroom apartment costs around $1,000 and 1,034, which we know is very difficult to find here in Lafayette. And we're talking about the Lafayette metropolitan area. So just for clarification. And so that means that one would have to make $41,000 per year in order to afford that $1,000 rent and not be cost burdened, which is equal to 2.7 full-time jobs at minimum wage. And so, as you can see in the middle of the screen, Louisiana is 33%, 33% of Louisiana residents are renters. Lafayette Parish is, or metropolitan area, is nearly the same at 32%. And that's between the years of 2018 and 2021. But the mean renter wage for that 32% of the population is $15.43, right? And so that's a significant discrepancy between what is necessary to afford that rent, rent and utilities for a two-bedroom modest apartment, and what people are actually making. So when you look at it in Lafayette, home health and personal care aides in our area make about $10.24 per hour. Servers make about $11 per hour. Security guards, CSRs, customer service representatives, light truck workers, janitors, receptionists, secretaries, restaurant cooks. I mean, the list goes on and on of people who all average below the one-bedroom housing wage of $18.51 in median hourly wage. So all of those hardworking people are unable to live and afford either a one-bedroom, or, as we know, two people living together is less expensive than one person living on their own. But both, you are unable to meet that housing need without becoming cost burdened. And again, that's $3 per hour more than last year. So that represents a significant increase. And I'm going to drop in the chat right now a link to this Out of Reach report. I think you would find it really interesting. And again, you can zoom in. You can zoom in on any county in the country. You can do comparisons. It's a really easily, it's got a really great user interface. And so I really encourage you to go and look at the Out of Reach report yourself. At the regional and local levels, a couple of announcements. One, the home art funding that has been recommended for allocation it will be up for vote by the city and parish councils on August 6th. That does there is money in home art remaining after that vote. I urge you to pay a lot of attention to that vote. Come and speak in support of the nonprofits that have been recommended for funding. I see Jenny on this call, so I'm going to save any other information around that because she would know better than I if she'd like to offer an update in a few minutes. With regard to the homeless to housed, many of you attended the 4 sessions that were hosted by Catholic Charities of Acadiana, who received a grant in collaboration with the Urban Land Institute. There is a second phase that has begun, and there was an event several weeks ago at the Downtown Convention Center with a panel conversation that launched that second phase. And that team has initially been identified as Catholic Charities, of course, Arch, Downtown Lafayette, Habitat for Humanity, Community Foundation, LPTFA, and more. And so really looking forward to seeing what that second phase brings. There's a number of goals that have been already identified. including the establishing of a redevelopment authority, establishing a nonprofit development entity similar to the 3CDC model that would identify opportunities, manage an investment fund, perhaps develop and operate property, looking at how do we grow locally driven financing programs, what are we doing about a crisis response center, addressing investment in the core of the city, particularly building sewer capacity, targeting zero pedestrian deaths on local streets, just lots of exciting stuff. I look forward to where that second phase goes. And if you would like to become involved, please keep your ear to the ground. We will continue to update ways that people can engage in that work. Nicole is at the Faith House annual meeting today, but she would want me to say that the NOFO dropping, this year's COC NOFO drop is imminent. We are really prepared for that to happen any day now, but a reminder that this year begins the 2-year cycle. So we will complete the NOFO process this year and not have to do one in 2025. So we're really excited about the traction that we can gain after finding out about our funding for that 2-year cycle before we're right into the application process again. Aside from it being a cumbersome process for our COC as a whole to undergo on a yearly basis, it really allows us to implement suggestions over a longer course of time, again, before we're right back into that application process. We should be finding out about emergency solutions grant funding in the coming days. I believe that will be on Friday that we hear about that. So again, keep your ear to the ground. We will be posting about it, sending it out through eBlast, etc. One thing that Arch could really help appreciate your help with is around share house donations. So as you all know, the share house takes gently used household items and redistributes it and helps with move-ins for all of our agencies' clients, as well as other identified individuals, either who are moving from homelessness into housing, and it allows them to start off on the right foot with beds and furniture and dishes and other necessary household goods, but also people who maybe have experienced an acute disaster, such as a house fire, a flood, that sort of thing. The problem is right now is that we're getting drop-off donations outside of our donation acceptance times. So we take donations Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays from 10 to 3. There's signage all around the outside of the share house, but whatever you can do to help amplify our messaging that people cannot just drop things off outside of share house at any time, because what inevitably happens is it gets rained on, those things are now destroyed, and we are burdened with trying to figure out how to dispose of those items. Also, we don't need to dispose of things that could ordinarily, if it was donated during an appropriate time, not have to dispose of it, right? This is also an investment that we have in environmentalism as well. So just helping us to spread the message that if you have people who would like to donate and you're like, you know what, Share House would take it, helping to amplify the message that we take those donations Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays from 10 to 3. And then lastly, we have an event coming up on August 22nd at Vermilionville called Know-It-Alls, Grown-Ups versus Grade Schoolers. And so think of it somewhat as Are You Smarter Than a Second Grader? But we're utilizing fifth graders. And so we're going to have some Lafayette famous folks who are going to participate in a trivia night with the assistance of fifth graders from across Lafayette. And so if you have someone who's entering, someone who's entering the fifth grade who might want to participate, there's a really quick application process, emphasis on quick. We wanted to make sure that it was super accessible. I'm going to drop that link in the chat. quick Google form and just letting us know that they would be interested. And we sure would appreciate that. We are utilizing that event also to let people know about the needs in all of our school systems, in particular Lafayette Parish school system, of students who are unhoused, and that is not always a visible issue to everyone, but very much a present issue. And so, hey, there you go. Hi. Sorry, talking to the chat. But again, know-it-alls, fifth graders needed. There's the link in the chat. So I think that I am sick of hearing myself speak. And so I'm looking forward to any agencies or community updates. Here are a couple prompts. If you think maybe you don't have a if you don't have an update, are you starting any new programs or hosting any events? Have you attended any trainings or know of any advocacy opportunities you'd like to share with everyone? Do you have any new staff opportunities or board opportunities? Because everyone's always looking for a way to plug in. And then lastly, do you have any challenges that might benefit from community sourcing? We've got a lot of great thinkers and resourced people on this call. So do you have any problems that you would like to share that maybe someone would be able to help you with? So if you're any of those things, just go ahead and take yourself off mute and give us some updates. Hey, Kim.
Hey, this is Kim Boudreau with Catholic Charities of Acadiana, and as an update to our operations, as it's been widely covered in the media, we've experienced a significant loss of funding in our homeless shelter program for single adults, and it was $1 million for our shelter for this fiscal year, and the fiscal year began on July 1st. We are working nonstop to try to find alternative sources of revenue to sustain our shelter operations. At this time, we are still in a very difficult position. Our full budget for that shelter is $1.2 million a year. Our capacity was 87 individuals. We have discontinued accepting new clients into the shelter, and we're titrating our capacity at this point. Our plan is to get it down to 60 and reevaluate at that point to try to reduce our expenses. So we currently are seeing that there will be a larger number of people that are unsheltered in Lafayette. I think that we're around 72, 73 people right now in the shelter. We did get recommended last week in the introductory ordinance with Lafayette Consolidated Government to receive $290,000 related to staffing, I believe, from the Home Art Funds. So that is some support for our operations, but it's a long way from supporting the full needs that we have. We are actively fundraising, trying to speak to as many partners as we can in the community to fundraise. And we are speaking to the Louisiana Housing Corporation to see if there are any sources of funding at the state that we could tap into. So that's just kind of our high level update. This is a very disappointing thing that happened. We know that Lafayette is in desperate need of homeless shelters, and we don't have enough homeless shelters for the number of people experiencing homelessness in Lafayette as it is. And so any loss to existing shelter beds in our community is pretty devastating for the people that need those services. Another update is that we began operating extended hours at St. Joseph's Diner at the beginning of the summer to offer people that are unsheltered a place to get outside of the elements and to access water and air conditioning. We are currently open at St. Joseph's Diner from 6:30 in the morning until 6:30, 7 o'clock at night every day. And so that also increases our expenses and our need for volunteer support, our need for water and snacks. And so if you have any of those things, I would welcome you to either volunteer with us, pick up a shift once a week and come spend time with us to help support that effort, or come bring a case of water, or next time you're at the grocery store, pick up some extra snacks and bring it by. We could definitely use the help in that area. So that's my update.
Quick question, Kim. If someone wants, do you have an Amazon link by any chance? If someone just wanted to buy online and have it delivered to y'all?
Yes, we do have an Amazon link. It should be on our website under ways to give.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you. Any questions for Kim? Thanks, Kim. I know you're balancing two meetings.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, any other updates?
Hi, Jinsey from Hearts of Hope.
Hey.
Hey, we have our 24-hour crisis line that we manage with the help of volunteers. So if anybody knows of ways for volunteer opportunities, we also have an open position that I wanted to let everyone know about. It is a regional care coordinator. It's through our Hearts of Hope has 3 programs under one roof, but it's through our Children's Advocacy Center. And this person will assist with helping people who have been human trafficking. So those are the updates that we have.
Quick follow-up. If you are wanting to volunteer to answer the phones, is there like a training process or?
Yes, there's a 40-hour training. Most of it is done online at your own pace. And then there's like a 10 to 15 hours that are done in person just to kind of go over policies and procedures and to practice. And so we do them either in a group setting or individual. We just kind of meet everybody where they're at and the different learning styles that people have. On our website is a place for you to sign up, so you can just put your information there, and our volunteer coordinator will reach out and get you all set up.
Okay, one other question. So if you are interested in volunteering, how many hours do you expect a volunteer to being able to answer phones?
Yeah, so we have different shifts. There is typically after office hours, so it's from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. the next morning. And then on the weekends, there's like an AM shift, which is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. We ask that when you first start out that you take the minimum of 3 shifts a month. And so we have like over 100 shifts in a month that you can take, just so that you get the most experience when you're first volunteering. And then after that, the requirement is 2 shifts a month, but we understand that people are volunteers and you have life. So as long as you communicate with us, we're fine with that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other agency or community update?
This is Laura Broussard with Faith House. I'm the housing advocate. We currently don't have any updates at this time.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Alton with the Acadiana Cares. Just to give a quick update on the construction at Pride Plaza at the corner of Willow and Pierce. We're getting close. How that affects our clients in the homeless community, it gives them another access point to primary care and some psych care. And it's if someone has Medicaid or doesn't have Medicaid, we help them apply for Medicaid. We take all insurances, and if someone falls somewhere in between, we also have a sliding scale. What I'll do is I'll put in the chat our current phone number for the clinic because they're currently accepting patients, and you can make a phone call for someone or get them to make a phone call and set an appointment for them.
Thank you, Alton. Okay, what other updates we got?
Elsa, this is Joseph Kishba, unaffiliated. I stepped away for a few minutes. Have we discussed anything about the current ongoings in the city of Baton Rouge, under the O'Neill underpass as far as the, encampments go? That was a news clip I've seen recently.
Yeah, so that would be outside of our footprint, but we do work closely with the other COCs across the state, and that would be under the balance of state COC. And we have heard about what's going on. There are a number of communities across the state that are experiencing more visible homelessness than ever before. And so I encourage you, Joseph, to attend the COC meetings for Baton Rouge to learn more about that. And that would be
Yeah,
through Carrie
yeah.
Patterson.
I think I was trying to draw some parallels.
Yeah.
I'll include in the chat it was a memo I had written to the city of Austin, Texas's government, essentially saying that if the local homeless population, which was housed at a 7% rate in the local shelters, that was their capacity. If the city or state government was unable to provide additional short-term provisional housing while encampments were being closed, that the individuals in question do have a constitutional right to remain in a public space. And so I feel like with the recent withdrawal of funds on behalf of our state government, as well as the destruction of some encampments in Baton Rouge, that kind of lends it's at least an attitude of how our state government, which is responsible for distributing the funding to agencies and organizations, that's their sort of attitude. So if their actions haven't already kind of communicated to our community, our working community here in the service of the homeless, that we do know kind of what sort of to anticipate in the future. And I feel like our response locally is doing great, but just to be aware of everything going on. I'll include that document here in the chat in case anyone wants to reference it.
Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Anyone else like to offer any update or have any questions? Okay, well, we will be back in August with another guest presenter. And of course, copious time to offer updates and to community resource with one another. I do appreciate all of you taking the time today to join this meeting. And if you need anything in the interim, there are a number of ways to be getting involved. This is not the only way or the only time that homeless service providers meet with one another. They meet throughout the month. Yesterday, in fact. So if there's a way that you want to get involved and you're just not sure how, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'm going to put my email in the chat, and we will find a way for you, for an entry point for you to leverage your skill set and your interest in the work that's being done. Because there is always a way for you to get involved. And we appreciate you taking time out of your day to join this call. And again, it is recorded. It'll be on the Arch YouTube channel. So if you need to reference it at a later date, it will be available to you or to someone that you know that maybe wasn't able to come. So with that, I really do appreciate you all. If you are here for the HMIS training, I'm going to take myself off of video and sound, but turn both of those back on. Yeah, never, Joseph, but thank you. I will turn both of those back on at 1 o'clock so that that training can commence. So thank you all so much. I appreciate each one of you, and don't hesitate to reach out in the interim for anything and everything. Bye-bye, y'all.